Greetings, welcome to Ross Reports, the headline. Pulled this article out of Atlantic. Went ahead and read the whole thing. It's about 10 pages long. It's called, "Is it time for the Jews to leave Europe?" So, it's really taking the real question and putting a flip to it. In other words, the question is it time for the Jews to leave so-called Israel? So-called the state of Israel. But they're gonna say it's time for the Jews to leave Europe. You know, look at the picture. It's cracked. It's a Star of David that's cracked. The foundation's cracked. Well, they say that the so-called Israel is the foundation. So which one is it? Is it Europe or is it Israel? The whole purpose of the article is to induce this fear-mongering, complete, utter fear to the potential reader, whoever that may be. He asked somebody on the street a very old Jewish question: do you have your bags back? So the Jews, they've been victims for the longest time, and here they are again, they're still victims. What was once impermissible is again imaginable. Memories of 6 million Jewish dead fade and guilt becomes burdensome. So everybody's forgetting about the Holocaust, although we hear about it day after day after day. It's every other program Terry Gross does is about the Holocaust. The reason for that: State of Israel is coming to be understood as a Jew of nations. So Jews are bad, Jews are dirty. Those who condemn Hitler day and night have surpassed Hitler in barbarianism. President of Turkey said last year. So there you go. There's the riff that I mentioned in one of my reports about the president of Turkey and the state of so-called Israel. Somebody said, "Jew, France is not for you." This guy chased down an 8-year-old Jewish girl. He catched her by the hair. He put a gun against her head. It jammed, so he pulled out another gun and he shot her in the head. Again, just fear-mongering, right? I mean, you know, we had a guy throw his own child off of a bridge here recently in Tampa Bay. Killed his child, just drove down the road. The cop even pulled him over. He got out. He went, took his girl, and he threw her over the bridge. Oh, he hated girls, and we just have people hate girls, and they hate little children, and they hate little children, and they hate little children. We need to protect little children. We need to stay for little children. Up, and you hear us over and over again. You think, wow, we've got a problem with people that hate little children. Everyone agreed that more attacks were inevitable. Next week or next month, no one knows, but it's coming. Everybody knows it. So again, the attacks come in. It's coming for you. You better get out of Dodge, and you know where to go. Some guy, they says, from Brooklyn, he's persecuted, he's got 50,000 Muslims around him. 4 people were murdered at a Jewish museum in Belgium. They recently returned to Europe after a term with ISIS. Oh, the guy returned, he was fighting with ISIS, he went back to Europe and he killed a bunch of Jews. Now wait a minute. All this propaganda that we're seeing about ISIS, not one mention that I've heard of the state of Israel. Maybe he was with Al-Qaeda. Maybe they need to get the story straight. Roughly 1 month before it was liberated, British forces, they liberated everything. They liberate everything from everybody. Ronald Lauder, who serves as the president of the World Jewish Congress, said acidly of Europe, it looks more like 1930. Okay, so Europe is about to go through another Holocaust. Pose sanctions on people, and they don't see it as an act of war, but it squeezes those countries, and it literally starves people to death. People can't get the health care they need. People can't get food. You know, people can't get decent wages because they have no transportation for work. You know, all these things come into play, and people die as a result. People are hurt, people are injured, and people are murdered because of economic sanctions and economic networks. Now, going back to what it's saying is that we're not observing all those incidents that occur. Let's say there's an Islamic man and he owns a store. Well, somebody's not going to go purchase product from him because he's Islamic. Are they going to go and tell him that? Are they going to write him a letter and say, hey, I'm not going to come buy anything from you because you're Islamic? No, they're just not going to go. So in the end, where the person that may be Jewish but nobody knows ends up profiting and living heartily at the expense of others, the person who outwardly professes their sign of faith is persecuted upon faith. And believe me, there are Islamic people that are much more holier than so-called Christian people, because the real Christian people that call themselves
The people that call themselves Christian aren't Christian, just like some people that call themselves Jews aren't really Jews. According to somebody, the writer of this article interviewed, if the State of Israel makes mistakes and people disagree with that, that's not anti-Semitic. Now, he goes on to say, as well as a new threat of extremist Islamism, there has been an insidious creeping attempt to delegitimize the State of Israel, so-called State of Israel, which spoils often over into anti-Semitism. We have to be very careful about the fact that there's a dangerous line that people keep crossing over. Okay, let's just look at the facts here. So-called State of Israel was funded by the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds still have ownership in so many ways. The original Hebrew people went by the law of Moses, the commandments. Some people think that the Old Testament is a record of Jewish people. It is not so. The Old Testament is a record of Hebrew people, the Talmud, which is a false doctrine that was declared to be unholy by the Christ, the Messiah, that the Jewish people have rejected. And this is why they're the Jewish people. The Christ was calling his people the Israelites.